Hello guys, welcome to another YouTube video. So I'm actually recording this third video tutorial series. This third video of the video tutorial series, and what I'm starting to do is I'm doing two projects at the same time. That way, the first one is only for me to test and play around with. That way, you guys can get the most streamlined and clean experience, and that way you don't get the rough drafts. Anyway, this is what we're going to be doing today. So I added this go to profile button, as you can see here. So when you click the button, it's going to take you to this profile activity. So what you see here basically is like the profile picture, name, links. I'm gonna be calling links like the number of people that you're associated with, because what I want to do with this fitness app is to basically cluster people together, and that way you can compare like fitness stats with them. So kind of like give it a little bit of a social focus to the application. So anyway, as you can see, you see like the number of links, which is the number of people that you're associated with, number of calories burned today, like that random example, body mass index, fat percentage, weight, height, and we're gonna be adding more to this. Obviously, right now this is hard coded, but I like the design, and most importantly is that we're gonna be creating this user in the database, in the Firebase database. So that's what we want to get to, because that way on the next video we're going to be able to pull out that data and display it here dynamically. So let's go ahead and do that. So picking up where we left off. Perfect. So what we have before is this three activities, which is a register activity, the main, and the login. Now, for organizational purposes, this project is going to get really big, and hence I want to start making packages. That way we can organize our application a little bit better. So yeah, let's start by creating a activities package. So we're gonna go here, new package, and I'm gonna call this activities. And we want to move all our activities, including the utils, into our activities package. Click OK, and it's going to refactor all the files because the files are being called like and the layout dependencies and whatnot, they're organized depending on the structure that you see on the project structure. So Android Studio is gonna refactor accordingly for us automatically, which is very nice in my opinion. As you can see, this is going in here. It's just taking a little bit because I have some stuff open. So there you go. There you go. It's a little bit laggy, but it's right there. And as you're going to see now, the reference is going to be activities login activity rather than the dot. So this is going to change. You don't have to move anything other than like what I did here. This is going to be refactored automatically. But anyways, moving on and going into the tutorial, let's start by creating the new activity, which is the profile activity that I showed you guys. So press command new or command N, which is activity, and then which is empty activity. We're going to call it profile activity. And for some reason I have this too, I don't know why, because I don't have it created, but yeah, profile activity, yeah. The name must be unique. Oh, okay, yeah, so from the previous tutorial on experimentation, I still have the layout, so you guys shouldn't have this, so don't worry about it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and delete it and just like do what I was going to do. Command N, choose activity, empty activity, profile activity, and enter. You guys want to add this to our GitHub repository. So this is what you guys are going to see upon creation. And this is just Android Studio, like reformatting and, you know, restructuring, which is going a little bit slow and it's a little bit annoying, but whatever. There you go. That's how we have it. That's how I have my project structure. So now, first things first, we're going to create the profile layout. So since I already created this and this is going to save us time, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to copy what I had done previously and what you saw. So we have two errors, which is light gray and the Android profile. So this is an image asset and this is a color value. So first let's go to the colors. And what I'm going to do is create the light gray color value. So this is the light gray color value hex code. And that's what we want to have for our background of our profile. So now I should pick it up. Okay. And I want to make this bigger so you guys can go ahead and see it. Now we're missing the image asset. So you can just choose any image asset that you want. I have mine here. Profile. There you go. Oh, not that one. This one. We're gonna paste it on the drawable, and we want to add it to Git. Now it should load with the image. There you go. Perfect. Circle image view source. Okay. So I'm just gonna make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see. Alright. Looks just as what we were looking at the beginning. So I'm gonna scroll down, but I don't want to pause and explain because the constraint layouts work the same and we did constraint layouts in the login and the register. So I'm just gonna scroll down. And you guys go ahead and pause the video when needed and copy this. So what you're seeing is like 5 cards. Actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards. So there's one big card and then there's 5 more cards. For now they're static, but I'm planning to make them a little bit more dynamic so that way you can scroll up and down. I'll see in the future what we end up doing. But I basically took this idea from the Samsung Health application. That's more or less something on what I was trying to get to, and I think that this design looks pretty decent. So at least we have that. And this is just a quick fix. Option enter. We have that there. So we went ahead and we already created the layout. Now we want to finish creating the user logic. So creating the user, like the logic of creating the user, will be the following. First thing that we want to do is go to our Firebase console application. And actually, now that I have this open, let's go to Firebase. We're gonna go to our console. And we're gonna go to our Kotlin Firebase database. Now, guys, you should be creating your own database. Otherwise, I mean, you're not gonna learn much if you don't try to do it on your own. Because I've seen people in previous projects that they actually used exactly my database, and you know, it's not really what we're planning to go for here. Anyways, you're gonna choose database. You're gonna choose the real-time database. So here I already have some data populated, but just so you guys see, I'm gonna delete it because you're gonna be seeing something a little bit different. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and delete everything. This is what you're gonna be looking at. So you're not gonna click this. You're gonna go into the real-time database tile, and you're gonna click the create database. And you want to put start in test mode. Otherwise, you're not gonna be able to write and retrieve data from the real-time database. And this is what you're going to see. Now, you don't want to move or go to other sections in this website. You want to leave it open, because if you don't write any value into this database and you go to authentication, for example, this is not going to be saved, and you have to like create the database again until you have data populated. So let's go ahead and let's start with the logic, and meanwhile we leave this open. So we go into our Android Studio, and the logic is going to be handled here on the register method. By the way, someone pointed out in Instagram that the logic should be handled after the fact that we put our variables at the top. So I'm going to be moving this. So I'm going to move this, and I'm pressing Shift Option. That way I move it like this. That's where I want it. So the variables are going to go at the top. And after that, you are always going to see the onCreate method. And the thinking behind having the variables at the top is in case that you have like variables dependent, or more like functions dependent on variables. You don't have to go like at the middle of the file or at the bottom and battle with the file. You just go at the top, change the values of the variables that you have here, and that's it. That's why it's always common. It's standard that the variables are always at the top. So I just want to check how long I've been recording. Okay, 15 minutes. Okay, so let's continue. So here and there on register, what we were doing is just adding the user into the authentication section of Firebase. Now we're going to write values into our database. So we have this, which is our user model. Just want to recap. And then what we want to do is first create two functions. So we're going to create a very fun MakeUser function that's going to take a full name and And this that you see right here is very similar to JavaScript. This semicolon and the user means that it's expecting to handle an object of type user, which is what we created right here. So you're just like giving a reference in order to make the function more precise, if you can say so. That way, like if it's receiving something, I mean, that way it's not returning something other than a user object type. So val username equals make username full name. Now what's happening here? Here I'm creating a value called username, and I'm not initializing, but how do you say? You could say initializing, equal to a function called MakeUsername, and that's gonna take a full name. So before we continue with the MakeUser, let's also create the function MakeUsername, and this is gonna be a very quick, short function. Goes full name to lowercase dot replace and I'm going to explain right now what's going on here. So this what you see here is called an inline function, and what an inline function does is basically, instead of like having the curly braces and returning a value, since it's so short, you just put the equal sign and the value is going to return, which in this case it's only going to return a string that will be taken from the full name, and it's basically going to replace the empty spaces for a dot. So for example, if the user puts the full name of, say, myself, arturofilio, the converted value is going to be lowercase, just as it says here, and we're going to replace this empty space with a dot, and that's going to be my username, which is kind of more or less what Instagram does. So that's what we're doing. This is an inline function, and you can leave it like that. I like it compact, so I'm just going to leave it like that, but if it's easier for you to see it visually like that, just leave it as is. So we're gonna continue with a MakeUser function, and in this function we want to return a user, which is going to have a name, a username, and an email. So these values that you see right here, these are the values that we're going to put into the Firebase database. We're going to put the name, we're going to put the full name, and we're going to put the name, the username, and the email. These are the values that we're going to write into the database. So now let's make use of the function. So here, as we can see, we basically say like if the two passwords are the same, and if the whole inputs are not empty, then go ahead and try to register the user. Now, obviously if it fails, it's going to say something went wrong. Please try again later. This can also happen if the user already exists, given that like they provided the same email. And we're not really handling that error properly yet, but since it's really not needed, because we're still going to get like an error, and we're going to get some sort of feedback, I'm just going to leave it as it is, and move on with the creating user function, which we have right here. So first we do our validation. If everything is filled in and if the two password matches, then go ahead and start the method create user with an email and password. So when we call that function, we create this complete listener, meaning that upon completion, check if it was successful. So what we're going to do prior to giving a feedback of, oh, it was created successfully, we also want to go ahead and simultaneously, not really simultaneously, but like right away we want to create the user in the real-time database also. So value user is going to equal MakeUser, and we're going to provide the full name, which we are getting from the user input. And then we're going to create a reference variable in order to reference our Firebase database. So child users child it result user UID. Oh, okay, and I'm getting an error here, and that's because I forgot to bring the database Firebase library. So the Firebase library is one of the libraries that we brought in the beginning of the tutorial series, which is right here. Firebase database library, which is this one. And it's gonna be found in the module app. You should have it already, so don't worry about it. I'm just mentioning it. So we're gonna go right below the Firebase authentication library, and we're gonna write var and database database. So we have that right there. So now we have to initialize it just as we did in the previous video. So and database Firebase database get instance reference. Oh, sorry, this is Firebase reference, database reference. I always get that wrong. So what's happening here? We basically want to make a reference to our database, and once we make a reference to our database, then we can manipulate it. So here we declare the database library. Here we initialize the library in order to reference our Firebase database that we have on our console that you just saw. And then here we are creating just our local reference variable in order to manipulate information. And what we're doing is that, so our database here into a child means one level below. We're going to write a user's node, and then a child of that user's node, we're going to create a user ID, and then upon that we're going to create the user information. So reference set value user. So what's happening here? So this reference means that it's the child of the user's node. So meaning like we have our global database or our database name, then we have our users node where the whole bunch of users are going to be, and then child to the users node, we're gonna have our single user ID, which is gonna be like a soup, like a string of like random letters and numbers, and then child of that, you're gonna have like your username, your name, and your email. And this is what we're doing. This reference that we just created, we're setting the value of this user, which this user was created with, you know, the function of MakeUser, which returns the user object. So I know this is a little bit cumbersome, but yeah, it's a little bit cumbersome to grasp. But right now, when you see like real time, you're gonna make the click. So we have that. And then what we want to do is we want to add another add complete listener. Add on complete listener. And then wait. So there's a few things that I could do. Either I can get rid of this if unsuccessful and just create a new one, and then okay, no, let's just leave this like that for now. So let's say that this happens, and if there was no error, then it is successful. If it was successful, then we're going to do this and redirect the user to the other activity just as we were doing. Otherwise, we're going to say like something went wrong, probably the internet stopped working, so please try again later. And then this right here, this should be, we should put all of this inside of that if function. That should go there. And I just want to check that I have the same thing. No, something looks off. Something looks off and I don't know why. So I'm on yeah. So far I have the same thing as I have in my notes. Value else then. Nope, it's fine, it looks fine. It all looks fine, so okay, create the finish creating the user logic. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's try this. And I want to have the database here so you guys can see what's going on behind the scenes. So I'm gonna run the app. Hopefully it doesn't take long because I'm running like 200 studio projects plus a video recording program plus a bunch of YouTube stuff. I mean Bluetooth. So yeah, hopefully it won't take long. Because this is not the project, this is the one from the already finished, and this is where we want to get to. So hopefully the screen will change right now, any moment. There you go. Perfect. So we have the signing. Oh, by the way, you guys may have yours like this. Inputs may be a little bit larger. So I'm just gonna go quickly into the activity login. And as you can see, I made a little bit of changes. I added a little bit of padding into the end and start. I added 50. That way it looks a little bit slimmer. But other than that, I didn't do any other changes. But if you have any questions, just go into the GitHub if not. So continuing this, I'm just gonna create, say, John Doe at john@gmail.com. 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So as I told you guys, you shouldn't close this. Like, you shouldn't go to any other sections. You should leave it here. So now that we have it, oh god, stalling a little bit. It causes that some time. And my keyboard battery just died, but not to worry. Just gonna connect the cable in a second. Just hang in there. Okay, so continuing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So when I hit register, you're gonna see a new users node here, and you're also going to see the John Doe name under like the spaghetti string underneath the users with the email and the created username. So let's try and see what happens, and boom, there you go. You have the users, and then you have the blob that I told you, and then if we expand this, we click the plus, we see the email, we see the John Doe, and we see the username. Now you guys may be wondering, oh, why do we have this user ID? Right now we're gonna have this empty, and do not worry, but this is gonna help us in the future in order to like copy these values and display them on the profile activity later on. But yeah, I think you know, we're doing an advancement so far. And let's change this, let's make the other button so we can go into our profile. So this is handled in the main activity, actually in the main activity layout. Let's go to layout first. And then let's just copy the button that we have. So basically this is a profile button, because when you click it's going to take you to the profile, and there's a logout button just as it was before. So we just created exactly the same button, it just says go to profile, nothing major. So now we're going to the main activity, and then here what we're going to do is, first thing, move this below the onCreate, because as an Instagram user pointed out, logic has to be always at the bottom. Secondly, we are going to create our click listener, which is going to be profile btn.set on click listener. And it's just going to be this. Why? Because we can also use this on-click listener that we have, on-click function that we have here, which is really neat in my opinion. So when the ID equals the profile button, we want to direct the user into the profile activity. So start activity. This profile activity class Java, and I don't want to finish this because I want to allow the user to go back and forth. So let's hit the hot reload. yeah, as I said, it's taking a little bit long because I have a lot of stuff running. But here you go. So we click go to profile, it takes us here, and perfect. So that's it. That's exactly where we wanted to get to for this tutorial. We're on 35 minutes, so that's 10 minutes less. I think that's pretty good in my opinion. So in the next tutorial, I'm going to populate the information dynamically in here. So if you guys like this video, give it a like. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. Share it with your friends. Share it in Twitter so more people can reach this video. If you didn't understand something, please leave a comment. I'm also on Discord. I'm helping this guy, but I don't want to show the conversation. Well, I don't mind, but I don't know if he minds. Anyway, I'm gonna put my Discord username in the comment section. I'm gonna put the GitHub Repo, and yeah, let me know if anything. Again, give it a like, give it a subscribe, and I'll see you later.